So let's welcome in, without any further ado, Dr. Johnson. Hello. Happy July, Dr. Johnson.
Happy July to you.
All right. So as I mentioned, I saw you on CNN. Good job this morning, as always.
Thank you.
So, we've had testimony today, a police officer, a voice expert for the FBI, now another police detective, or right now and for the past, hour, they've been showing the walkthrough that Zimmmerman gave the police detective a day or two after the shooting, took him through, and now they're showing, I guess, right after the shooting, they got him in the headquarters, and he's telling what he saw. So we haven't talked since Rachel Gentile, the whole thing.
Right.
So where do you think, if the case went to the jury today, what do you think would happen?
My guess is he'd probably end up getting manslaughter. He won't get murder too, and I pretty much thought that from the beginning. And the reason why is because I don't think that and lawyers do this all the time. They charge you with something way beyond what they can prove so that they give themselves some wiggle room. I think at its core, the defense has not, and we haven't gotten to the defense yet, but the defense has not been able to explain the basic questions of why the screaming stopped when the shooting was going on. And I think the prosecution has done a halfway decent job of saying, look, you were getting your butt kicked, but it's not clear that you thought you were going to die. And that's really, this whole case really just boils down to those two factors.
Well, you don't have to think you were going to die. The law is you have to think you were going to die or suffer severe bodily harm.
Right.
So he didn't have to think he was going to die. And you may say that the prosecution has shown because they measured the cuts on his head, the back of his head. Wait, let me finish. But the fact of the matter is, jurors, women, are going to accept the fact that this guy was on the bottom, this guy was getting punched, this guy had his nose whacked and broken probably, this guy had blood dripping out the back of his head, and you're going to convince these women that he didn't think he was in danger of getting killed or suffering grave, extreme bodily harm?
And if you're going to play the sort of gender and demographics line, these very same women have heard three different people. One person said otherwise, but they've heard three different people say they think a kid was screaming, and the screaming stopped when the shot went off. And that's the biggest problem.
And they heard two police officers assume, because they weren't there, that given the circumstances, the screaming would have been coming from, and the witness who came out and then went in and called 911, that the screaming would have been coming from George Zimmerman. So what we have, first of all, I heard you this morning make this point, or in maybe your Twitter. So why would the screaming stop when the shot was fired?
Yes.
Because he fired the shot, and you don't know how you would. In other words, if you wait, let me finish. If you're screaming because you're getting, battered, and you pull out your gun and you do something that is as traumatic as shooting someone, and he stops hitting you, you'll stop screaming. That's your case?
You just mentioned three different things. And first off, I'm not making the case. I'm talking about the state. I'm talking about what likely makes sense to somebody who doesn't know anything about the situation. Number one, remember, Zimmerman said that Trayvon was covering his mouth and beating him. So it doesn't make any sense that he could have been screaming at the time. He says he saw somebody, he yelled for help, then his mouth was covered. So at the time of the shooting, either Trayvon magically let go of his mouth or Trayvon was the one screaming for help. That's an inconsistency with his own story. The second thing is this. Let's be perfectly candid, and you got to go by the common sense rule, not thinking too hard. If somebody is beating the stuffing out of me and I shoot them, I'm not going to stop screaming. One, Zimmerman...
Really? Based on what? How is that common sense? Based on what?
Because I would say... because Zimmerman himself said he didn't even know that Trayvon was dead. He said that Trayvon told him, "You got me."
Right. He stopped hitting him. He stopped hitting him.
I'm going to say, "Get off me." Oh, my God, because he's not aware. That doesn't make any sense, Steve. It really doesn't.
He stopped pummeling him when he was shot. He was yelling for help because he was being beaten. Once the shot is shot. Look, here's the thing. I really laugh at him. Oh, he'll get manslaughter because they overcharge it. There is not one scintilla of evidence beyond a reasonable doubt in this case let me finish, that shows anything but pure self-defense Absolute pure self-defense.
You have believed that from day one because you're conservative.
Where's the evidence? Your evidence to show that he's guilty of manslaughter is that he stopped screaming after he shot the guy?
Not had a year and a half of information they've been paying attention to, nor do they have an ideological motivation to support one side or the other. That's what I'm saying.
Where's the evidence that they've heard beyond a reasonable doubt that leads them to manslaughter?
The entire case.
What's that?
Talking about people who have never heard of the entire case.
Right. So where's the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt for people who never heard of the case that leads them to manslaughter?
Has been inconsistent.
Really? What's been inconsistent?
George Zimmerman said the guy jumps out of the bushes. There's no bushes there. George Zimmerman said...
No. Where do you get there's no bushes there? There absolutely are. On the walkthrough today, he showed where the bushes were.
The bushes are 25 feet away. Trayvon Martin is Superman. He jumped out of the bushes 25 feet and sucker punched him.
Okay, so that's manslaughter to you?
What I'm saying is you also don't have, there is no DNA evidence on Trayvon Martin. There is no bruising on him.
We haven't gotten to that yet, and it doesn't have to be DNA evidence, as you'll hear in testimony.
It all magically disappeared in the rain, and no one would buy that.
Excuse me. Wait. Time out. So you're saying that Trayvon Martin did not break George Zimmerman's nose and did not pound his head into the ground. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is the prosecution has made the case that it's very hard to believe that he was being that brutalized if you have no defensive wounds and you have no DNA evidence.
Wait. Defensive wounds? What kind of defensive wounds on who?
The defensive, you would have bruising if you were having a struggle, Zimmerman fighting, Trayvon fighting. If you were having a struggle, there would be bruising. There would be DNA on Trayvon Martin. They have no DNA.
Nobody testified that. No, I haven't heard that testimony yet.
They said that in the opening statement.
Oh, that's not testimony. That's an opening statement.
Good Lord, the whole purpose of having a trial is to recreate everything that you said in the opening statement. You can't say anything in the opening statement that you're not going to bring.
Right, and you're going to get experts to testify that you could take somebody by the head or by the shoulders, make their head go into the ground, and there doesn't have to be DNA on your hands from it.
And someone who doesn't have an ideological motivation like you do is going to believe that? No,
they'll throw the guy in jail for life because they're so sure. Here's the whole thing. There is such conflicting testimony on everything except the police find consistency. His story is consistent. The detective, the female officer who testified earlier today said it is absolutely common for people to tell a story and have slight differences in that story when they retell it, and she found that his telling to be consistent with that.
You got out of the car when you didn't have to get out of the car.
No, that doesn't matter. But that doesn't. See, now you're pulling. Now you're reaching, man. Now you're reaching.
Parts that are going to make you feel better about the case. The fact of the matter is the man got out of the car when he was told he wasn't supposed to.
No, you're lying. You're lying. You're lying, Jason, or you don't know.
Not lying.
Jason, the tape. Jason, did you hear the tape? They said, Jason, are you following him? Yes, you don't need to do that. They did not say, don't get out of the car. So that's a lie, Jason.
No, you are lying because
really?
You have ideological motivation to say that George Zimmerman's innocent. What I'm saying is this.
No, you're misrepresenting what was on the tape.
If the police told you you don't have to
Not the police, Jason. Wasn't the police. Another lie, Jason. Not the police. Not 911. They didn't tell him don't. They said you don't have to. They didn't tell him while he was in the car. They said it when he was already following him. Come on, Jason.
You're not going to get out of the car, Steve. If you get a call, if you were a neighborhood watch person and the dispatcher or the cop or whoever says you don't have to do that, you're not going to get out of the car.
Jason, the problem is he was already out of the car.
Oh, he wasn't.
Oh, yes, he was. There's no question there.
No, he wasn't.
Okay, Jason, the question from the tape was, are you following him? Yes, you don't need to do that. Isn't that what the tape said?
He told him, you don't have to get out of the car.
No,
Look, here's the thing. Steve, you can, again, like I said, I know you conservatives are committed to making sure that he managed to kill this young boy and he gets off with it. I know that's important to you guys.
But for those it's important to us, guys. You know what's important, Jason? That an innocent man doesn't go to jail.
I'm sorry?
What's important to me is that an innocent man acting the way any of us would have in
What's important
self-defense
to you
doesn't
is that a
go
man
to
used
jail.
Killed a 17-year-old boy who was acting like a thug, which you said to me earlier, months ago when we talked about this case, and that he gets away with it.
Time out. I said, time out. I said he was acting like a thug.
You went into his background. You said this kid's been in trouble.
Yes, he has been in trouble, but that's neither here nor there.
And so I'm simply repeating what you have said in the past, and you have an ideological motivation for saying. And I'm like, fine.
No, I'm going by the evidence, Jason, and I am not lying like you are, sir. You're making it up.
Zimmerman to get off. I don't care if he does or not.
You're making it up.
That is what actually happened.
If you're sticking by your version of the 311 call, then you're either misinformed or you're lying.
Mindset of the jury. I do not know what the jury will finally decide. My guess is that they will probably conclude manslaughter. They could find him innocent. He's actually innocent legally. You're innocent until you're proven guilty. You insist on believing that you can read minds. Your skills are wasted, Steve. If you can read minds this well, I can't.
But Jason, you're making things up, Jason.
It's probably going to be manslaughter because, look, the guy engaged in a series of behaviors that would look to be reckless to most people who don't know anything about the crime.
I couldn't disagree with you more. Again, I go back to the tape, and I suggest you listen to the tape. I know it doesn't matter to CNN what the facts are. I know it doesn't matter to the AP, who still write it as a 911 call, and it was not. Who still say a police officer told him on the 911 call, and it was not. But it should matter to you, Jason.
Jury, it doesn't matter to the jury.
No,
look, I don't care if it's a mall cop. I don't care if it's a dispatcher. I don't care if it's the chief of police of the city of New York. If somebody in legal authority tells you you don't have to do that, most people, and remember, I spoke to a lot of people who actually believe that George Zimmerman's innocent when I was down in Sanford. But what they consistently said, and remember, we're dealing with a jury that doesn't have a strong opinion one way or another. Even people who think that Zimmerman is innocent kept saying, look, the guy never should have gotten out of the car.
That's not the issue, though. They'll be instructed that it's not the issue that you could up until the point of the fight, George Zimmerman did nothing illegal.
If you get out of the car when the people tell you not to get out of the car, and you already have
Jason, I got to tell you, you're lying.
You are a liar because you have a motive.
Jason, I'm done. Enough with the interview. I'm a liar because I have a motivation? No, I may have a motivation, but that doesn't make me a liar. He was said, are you following him? Yes, you don't need to do that. How